Lauren Brooks and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
I love sports on Friday. I don't know if I love sports anymore.
I think you loved sports Saturday until probably like 7 o'clock-ish?
I thought
7
they were
o'clock
about
was
to do
fine.
it.
Yeah,
I thought
probably
they were about
8
to.
o'clock was
Yeah.
good. 9 o'clock was good. It was around that 10 o'clock
Yeah.
mark that I started to hate football and certainly hate decisions
But
being
up
made.
until then, it was a pretty fun Saturday, right? I mean, I saw, you and your mom got to run the 5K.
Yeah,
and
how'd that go?
It was good things.
Yeah.
It was the best weather we've ever had for
Love
the
it.
Donna 5K at TPC Sawgrass. My best friend passed away of breast cancer 6 years ago, and so we do that every year in honor of her. We did it even when she was battling breast cancer, and so that was lovely. Yes, in general, sports are fine. It's just when it comes to the teams around here, it's not so good.
Alabama almost lost again.
That was fun. South Carolina had a chance for that
I know.
two-point conversion.
We had the mighty Iowa Hawkeyes score 40 points.
The Buckeyes went down. That was fantastic for me.
Vandy.
Vanderbilt beat Kentucky. That gives
They
us,
are going to
I
be
guess,
the best team in the nation at some point, folks. And so, yeah.
Did Iowa have 40 all year last year?
No. You mean like
All
cumulatively?
total,
All
yeah.
total. I don't believe so. So that's a great question, Taylor. And the best part is how many times do you think Cade McNamara, the quarterback, dropped back?
5.
14. 14
Okay.
passes attempted for 109 yards. But hey, Caleb Johnson is the best running back in the country, not named Ashton Jeanty,
Yes.
born and raised here in Duval County. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. If only the team in this town in the National Football League could run the ball at the pace that both Boise State and the Hawkeyes are.
If only they could do anything well.
Yeah.
And so, yes, as we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the loss yesterday, I wanted to ask y'all what you thought was the worst part. This is, of course, from the Jaguars' perspective. For me, Taylor, I think it was the combination of issues that went wrong to lead the quarterback in the postgame to say that this team is fragile in a couple different facets. They face adversity every week. It's the NFL. You're going to. And yet they cannot seem to find a way to win a football game or even really be competitive after the first quarter, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that when you, that fragile word is something you do not want to use when you're talking about your football team. And it's one of those moments where this isn't the first time almost every loss so far, which has been a lot of them, have been something goes wrong and everything spirals. And for that to happen one time, one time within the first 5-6 weeks, when we're talking about that Miami game and Etienne fumbled and how everything turned after that, those things happen occasionally, but for it to happen week after week after week is obviously something you don't want to see. But to me, you cannot have 4 dropped touchdown passes in the NFL. Your wide receiver
3 on one drive. Let's make that clear.
That is just honestly insane to me. And we've talked about it for years. For some reason, the drops have their way in Jacksonville, and I don't know what it is. It's guys who you would expect to be able to catch these passes who have proven that they can, and they're straight into their hands, and you're seeing them just drop them. And a couple, like Elijah Hicks made the good play on the one drop, but you still have to have it when it's hitting you in both hands. We've seen them bounce off helmets. Like, those are things that should not be happening at the NFL level as frequently as they are with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Absolutely. And Mia, 3 fumbles, only 1 lost because 1 was overturned as far as the review is concerned. But 3 fumbles in a game. Like, they talked about, Stacey Dales reported in London yesterday that Trevor Lawrence and the whole offense talked about how good the Bears defense is at punching the ball out. So you were prepared for it, and yet you still were able to give the ball away.
More concerning than that, Lauren, is the 8 penalties for 43 yards, 3 of which came on one defensive series.
That was the worst defensive series I think I've ever seen.
Yes, absolutely.
And that includes the first half of the 2 commit passes.
Absolutely backbreaking to think you're getting off the field.
Yeah.
Not once, not twice, but 3 times on one drive. That is quite frankly when you know you have hit, I think at least, rock bottom.
I don't know. Rock bottom could be this upcoming week.
And we talked about it in the Duval Rundown Instant Reaction podcast immediately after the game. If you haven't yet, joined in on one of those. It's a good little chat therapy, a group workshop, if we may. Tom McManus is preaching in every one of these. And I asked Tommy, I said, look, from my perspective as a media member in this town who covers the team on a daily basis, I view the drops as, to Doug Peterson's point, players need to make plays. The drops are on the players. The penalties, 12 men on the field. I mean, do we need to break out the Gators, like the mat?
Special teams mat, it didn't work Saturday night.
Yeah, it didn't work Saturday night. We're going to get to that in the 1 o'clock hour.
The mat's not helping.
The mat's not helping them either, so it's probably not going to help the Jags. That is where I look to coaching, and that is where I look to being prepared, being put in the right position, understanding the rules of a football game, and that is the one part that I look at, and it's coaching.
Do they care? Like, does anyone of them care?
The players or the coaches?
All of them.
Oh, I mean,
did it feel like this morning when Doug Peterson met with the media that he was so beyond frustrated that he had been screaming at his team last night? It didn't feel like that.
He told
to
us
me.
he hadn't talked to the players today.
Right, exactly.
They have an off day.
How is that possible with the product that they put on the field yesterday?
Honestly,
even the vibe that you got from him at halftime, it was almost an awkward interview because it didn't seem like he had answers. And if you are a head coach in the NFL and you don't have any answers, like there's a lot of problems right now, at least have a solution to one or two of them, and it doesn't seem like he does, and it doesn't even seem like he's trying to hide that he doesn't have answers.
It felt like Doug Marrone.
Yes.
Quite frankly.
Yes.
It's all on me.
Kevin was out on a run during the virtual availability this morning, so I'm in my home office doing the Zoom, and he comes back in and he goes, "All right, how did it go?" And I said, honestly, it felt like Doug Marrone. And I respect Doug Marrone as a human being and as a football coach. But as we all know, especially because his final season here was 2020 during the COVID year, and thus almost every availability was virtual. And so it was live streamed for all to see. He was searching for answers. He was just trying to fill time. He was talking about George O'Leary. We didn't even get a George O'Leary anecdote this morning. I was kind of disappointed because I was really hoping for that. It's broken until proven otherwise.
I saw a stat, and I'd have to go back and look at this. It was just something that kind of flashed up on my Twitter, but it said that the Jags have had 11 10-play drives where they haven't scored.
They talked about that multiple times.
Or has a touchdown.
kept
Yeah,
bringing
they
up
haven't
field
gotten
goals.
a But
touchdown,
I was
yeah.
like, that is all those little things that start to pile up. We can nitpick at the drops, and we can nitpick at protection, and we can talk about coaching. But in those moments when you are spending the amount of time, which those are probably 7-8 minute drives for the most part, and you're spending that much time and you're not getting into the end zone. We go back to last year of the woes in the red zone, and this is something that we hammered this whole offseason of like, fix the third downs and fix the red zone and fix the run game. And you felt like previous to this game, the run game was fixed, and then Dearness Johnson was on the field the majority of the time. And so then you're asking questions again, why are we backtracking when something was working for that one thing that was working for weeks you took away?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think there were failures on both sides of the ball across the board. And when you give up 35 points in the NFL, you're probably going to lose. That's unless you're a team that's super high scoring. This team is certainly not. I think as many points as there were offensively left on the field because of all the drops, at the same time, defensively, there were so many issues that I honestly wouldn't have been surprised today if Ryan Nielsen was fired, the defensive coordinator, just because at some point someone's going to get let go.
Something has to happen.
Right.
Like the first shoe has to fall at some point.
Absolutely.
And who is it?
We asked Tom McManus that as a former player yesterday, because again,
He was fired up, by the way, on the
on Duval rundown. Rundown yesterday. Like at one point, I just like sat back and just let Tommy preach. Tommy needed to preach to you Heeligans, Duval. Like he knew you needed it, and he delivered. And I asked him as a former player, what happens now? And in his estimation, I asked, should Doug Peterson be fired? Should Ryan Nielsen be fired? And he said he wouldn't go that far just yet. But the last Hail Mary, if you may, has to be changing the lineup, changing who is playing, play your young guys, perhaps take play calling back. He does have those outs before you are to ultimately go a different way, whether that's the head coach or one of the coordinators. And so
They'd love to change personnel on defense.
right,
They'd
well,
love to do that.
Well, to that point, I asked Doug Peterson this morning about Ronald Darby, who after two pretty solid first 2 weeks of the season, I think we were all looking around and saying, okay, great signing, has been burnt toast, for lack of a better term. In the Texans game, he gave up over 100 yards. I think it was a similar number yesterday. And that was against an offense that, while it certainly has a three-headed monster, has a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. And one of those late penalties was on him also.
Two of them.
Two. Oh,
two
yeah,
of
it was
them.
two.
Two of those three on that one drive were on him.
Darby.
And so, and that's what Tommy said. Tommy was like, I would love to see, you know what? Let's see what we have in Trey Prince. You know what? Tyson's coming back. Let's have Tyson and Buster be our starting corners. And Doug Peterson wouldn't necessarily go that far. When I asked him this morning, he just stressed that Ronald Darby has had the opportunity to make plays, and they would have liked for him to make those plays because then that maybe would change the perception, the trajectory, and maybe they would like to rotate him a little more. When he said that, I was a little bit like,
yeah, what?
Yeah,
Doug
like,
also said that Cisco and Johnson played better yesterday.
Yes.
Cisco got the pick.
Low bar to clear.
I mean, yes, Cisco got the pick, but he also missed tackles. The effort does not seem there. And that's why I go to, if you're going to fire someone, at least fire someone who's contributing to the lack of effort on defense. And Devin Lloyd, as we all know, was completely lost yet again. Well, the person who's directly in charge of him is Ryan Nielsen.
Well,
that's what it was interesting to me that Cisco was the one to kind of make the comment about people giving up because like Cisco, you've been the problem this whole year.
He did point at himself too.
And yes, and I get that, but it's almost like, are you talking about yourself? Are you saying you also gave up? Because if you're pointing fingers, then you kind of do have to point back at yourself in this situation.
Lot to get to. This is also an interactive show. It's not just Duval Rundown that we're interacting with you guys. Yes, 641-1010 is the number to reach us at on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, although I appreciate all the friends of the program who are texting me on my personal line. Thank you, JT. I saw you post this in Duval Rundown's chat line yesterday as well. Ryan Nielsen is more suspect than Ryan Gosling, and remember the Titans. So, hey, you know what? Like, let's throw it all out there. I do see several of you in the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line on YouTube, which is very easy to find us. Go to the 1010XL YouTube page, the main page. We should be right there at the top. Click on in. You can leave a comment, leave a chat, leave a question. And I think a lot of the conversation you guys have had so far through 11 minutes of today's program, I think a lot of it are things that we will attempt to touch on throughout the duration of today's program. I want to begin, though, and we'll come back, hopefully, with this sound, because I believe it is on the internet, to your question, Lauren, of should Ryan Nielsen have been fired, that Rick Spielman and Pete Prisco were a part of CBS's coverage yesterday, and they noted that Ryan Nielsen signed a 3-year contract in the offseason. Doug Peterson, according to Pete Prisco, has 1 year remaining on his deal. So does the entire offensive staff. That is per Pete Prisco of CBS Sports. And how does that play into it? I think that it doesn't, because ultimately if Doug Peterson is fired, Ryan Nielsen will be shown the door shortly thereafter. And that's a byproduct of you're not going to convince anyone to come be the DC and say you get a 1-year deal. The fact that you got someone to come here knowing the head coach reportedly only had 1 year left on his deal, that's impressive in and of itself. And so I don't believe that there's animosity and that it's, the coaches that are on 3-year deals are trying to, thwart the coaches on. I don't believe any of that is true, but it is certainly worth mentioning that there is only 1 year left on the contract of many of those on the coaching staff right now.
What was the worst part of yesterday's 35-16 loss to the Bears? Y'all can weigh in, like Mia said. I think 1-5 says it all. 1-5, you're not going to make the postseason. We thought maybe last week there was enough optimism with the 2 games in London that the Jaguars could eventually get back going in the right direction. It does not feel like that. It feels like just as bad as after the Jaguars lost to the Bills and were just an embarrassment on Monday Night Football. That's what it was yesterday morning on national television as well. All right, we've got more to do. It is a Big Chief Tire Monday. Visit BigChiefTire.com. There's a reason they were voted the best tire shop in Jacksonville for the 5th year in a row at the Community Choice Awards. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Sometimes winning and losing comes down to one play. There's only one performance-painting, high-performance play of the game on 1010XL.
October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Ackerman Cancer Center offers women's health, diagnostic, and screening services, including contract-enhanced mammography and total body MRI. Early detection is the key. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Now, the Florida State Seminole Report, brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team.
Florida State men's basketball will face Tulane in the Auto Nation Orange Bowl Classic on December 14th in Sunrise, Florida. The Seminoles game against the Green Wave marks their 14th appearance in the event. The Seminoles and the Green Wave will meet for the 39th time overall and for the first time in the Orange Bowl Classic. FSU leads the all-time series by a 26-12 margin. I'm RJ Saunders with your Ag Pro Seminole Report.
The kickoff to savings event is here at AgPro. Through October 31st, we're offering 0 down and 0% for 84 months on John Deere compact tractors. Get a 1025R tractor with loader for just $279 per month. or a 3025 e-tractor with loader for only $349 per month. Visit your local AgPro store today. Offer ends October 31st. Limited time offer. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Here, hoping everyone had a profitable betting weekend on MyBookie. If you did, you have Monday Night Football tonight to rack it up. If you didn't, you have Monday Night Football tonight to get right. The Buffalo Bills travel cross-state to take on the Jets Jets. The Jets did just fire their head coach. We've seen it before, though, where teams rally after a big shakeup. The Jets, 2.5-point dogs at home, a 41-point total over at MyBookie. This game often plays closer than we think, so take a long, hard look at Gang Green. Guys, MyBookie has the best sign-up bonus in the industry for Florida bettors. Our listeners can sign up and use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your first deposit up to $1,000. You heard that right. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Sign up, promo code 1010XL, and claim that double deposit bonus for Monday Night Football. Bet anywhere, anytime, and make your season a winning season with MyBookie.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
Pick it here for Bout 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bout 9. Visit Bout 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bout 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Injured in an accident? Have mounting medical bills? Can't work? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan of Von Rowan Law. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve. Set up your free consultation at zachsgotyourback.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating 1010XL Scholar Athlete of the Week, Kendall Utley, senior volleyball player at Sandalwood High. Kendall is a member of the National and English Honor Societies. Congratulations, Kendall.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a gravy taster from Jacksonville, Florida, me, Dennis Mosley.
Hi, Ken.
Okay, Dennis. 100 plumbers surveyed, top answer on the board. What does it mean if someone says your home has hard water?
It's made of ice? Let's see, hard water. Oh, is it club soda mixed 4-to-1 with vodka?
Last chance, Dennis. What is hard water?
Oh, is it that lime scale stuff that makes my taps all crusty?
That's right, Dennis. And a water treatment system from Bueller Air and Plumbing will eliminate troublesome lime scale deposits that can ruin your expensive appliances and let your neighbors know for sure that you are cool.
I wonder if I can get me a gin and tonic faucet.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
David Lane here again for Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. After several surgeries for age-old issues, mainly my back and shoulders, there's no doubt that Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is my sustaining resource for living pain-free. Take it from me, and I'm being really honest here, there's no better orthopedic facility here in Jacksonville.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
10XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Folks, it's time for basketball. Not just because of how the local teams are performing on the gridiron, but the first AP Top 25 of the men's basketball season has dropped. The Florida Gators, coming off of an NCAA tournament appearance in Todd Golden's second season, are 21st in the preseason poll. And for what it's worth, this AP voter speaking to you right now had the Golden era 18th in my poll. The top 5 reads as follows: Kansas, Alabama, UConn, Houston, and Iowa State.
There you have it. Other breaking news, the fact that Graham Mertz is out for the season. I don't think most people are surprised based off of how he looked in street clothes Saturday night as Florida lost to Tennessee, but it is official. And look, he's a guy that came into Gainesville with a wildly inaccurate, pretty much, career, and he's going to leave Gainesville completing 75% of his passes. It just is so frustrating, obviously, for him because he was playing really well, and he thought that this team was headed in the right direction. All right, we'll get to college football in a little bit, but talk some more Jaguars football. Like you talked about on the handoff, Mia, with Mike. Where do we go from here? Look, before I've said, yes, maybe replace Brandon Sheriff with Cooper Hodges. Let's see if Daniel Thomas is going to be better at safety than Antonio Johnson at this point in time. Maybe DeAndre Prince out there is going to play better than Ronald Darby. I think the problem is so much bigger than that, and it's fundamentally so far past just some personnel tweaks here and there. There is a massive culture issue within, whether it's the stadium or their team plane or now the Grove Hotel in London. It feels like massive changes need to be made at this point in time, or we are literally going to be talking about losses week after week after week and then draft talk.
Ultimately, a lot of that, as we've, I think, hit the point ad nauseum even last week following a win, ultimately much of what you're describing, Lauren, stems from culture. It stems from the system, and that has been questioned even when this team was 8-3 last year. What are they good at? What can they rest their cap on? What is it that makes the Jacksonville Jaguars the Jacksonville Jaguars? If you don't have have an identity, if you don't have a collective belief and a system, then certainly at the first sign of adversity, it will be threatened. And that is a question that Doug Peterson was asked to clarify this morning, because yesterday, postgame on the Jaguars radio broadcast right here on the Superstation, Doug Peterson said to Bucky Brooks that they needed to change the culture and they needed to, that people needed to step up. And we'll read you the full quote here in a second, because I want to read first. Mark Long asked Doug to clarify this morning what that meant. And I will read it to you, as we don't have the audio just yet.
We do.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we
Even
do.
better. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we'll actually. Oh wow, it literally came out 4 minutes ago.
The comment for Andre Sisco, RJ, is going to be cut 2, and then the other comment that Mia is talking about is going to be cut 9. So as he works to get those ready, yeah, I mean, of course, it's really uncomfortable when you're being asked about the culture, but you brought it up, so therefore someone's going to have to ask you that.
Yeah, I think that when you're at this point, and like you said, Lauren, it doesn't feel like there's, hey, let's do this one thing and everything's fixed. Like, you're beyond that at this point. But what you can say is sometimes getting these young guys who have some fight in them in there, which we saw Jordan Jefferson a little bit in this last game. Obviously, we've seen Ventrell play really good since he's had to step in for Foye. We saw Mason Smith with a sack yesterday. Get those guys out there at this point, because if you're a veteran, you're not seeing anything out of Eric Armstead. So let's get some young.
You're seeing a bear crawl.
Yeah, and you're like, let's get some young guys out there that at least have some fire and are trying to make the starting roster at some point. And look, I was one of the ones that didn't love the picks during the draft, but you need some sort of fire. And if something like that lights it under them, then why not try something? I feel like that's where you're at
and it's
point.
Funny, Taylor, because what did we say after the Houston game? I played ad nauseum that clip from Travis Etienne when he was asked about what is going to give this team energy. And unsolicited, he said, I love Ventrell.
Yeah.
I love the energy he brings, how he fires us up in the locker room and he fires us up on the field and holds us accountable. I love what BT's doing. I love the energy that Tank Bigsby brings and the fact that he can give Etienne, who, yes, in case you missed it this morning, the hamstring injury, not the shoulder injury, the hamstring injury is expected to keep him week to week. And so it'll be curious to see if he does play on Sunday. I tweeted it out at the end of yesterday's game. Those 3 players we just illustrated. Ventrell Miller certainly played, and I think that there's a case for he needs to be on the field even after Foye Oluokun comes back. Yep. That's not usurping Foye of his position. I think those need to be your 2 inside linebackers. Tank Bigsby, 7 carries for 24 yards. Brian Thomas Jr., 3 catches for 27 yards on 6 targets. If those are 2 of the 3 young players who give you energy, it was not only cited after a heartbreaking loss in Houston, it was cited after the win against the Colts. If those are 2 of the 3 players that give you energy, why are they not being incorporated into the offense more?
Yeah, and yesterday was the first time that I would say Brian Thomas Jr. had a bad game. He certainly had to catch that one ball and then the other ball that Trevor underthrew. While that's on Trevor, but you also have to work harder and try and get the pass interference because that guy Edmonds wasn't even looking at the ball. Yeah. All right, let's hear from Doug. So again, Andre Sisco yesterday post game said that he felt like there was a lot of quit out there yesterday, and Doug was asked to clarify those comments this morning.
I haven't seen the players today. Being the schedule's a little bit different. They're off today. We're going to work tomorrow. Be like our Monday. Before we head into the week, I would like just to get some clarification from his side. I don't think he meant it in a obviously it's his observation, but I don't think it was necessarily meant to harm anything or point a finger at anybody or anything like that. I think sometimes when you get in a game like yesterday, that sometimes is the feeling. We've been on the other side of that too, where we've had games where we felt like we've had that type of success, and you feel that way with your opponent. But again, I don't think it was necessarily a finger pointing.
I think it was finger pointing, but he, like we said earlier, I think he included himself in the finger pointing. There was a play, I don't know if other people saw this too, but Anton Harrison, I thought in the second half, looked like he literally didn't want to be there. Yeah. And then later it came out that he had the injury, but by that point in time, he was still on the field. Yeah. I was like, Trevor, it flipped from in the first quarter where the Jaguars had pass rush and they were able to pretty much control the clock. Yeah. And the line of scrimmage, I thought, looked great. And then everything obviously changed, and Trevor was getting beaten up. That's why I think at the very end they put Mac Jones in there because they're like, we are not willing to risk an injury to Trevor. So I do think Cisco's finger pointing, and I think that they should be today together having meetings, pointing the fingers at one another, and maybe that'll help things.
Well, they're off today. They're
correct.
They're touring around London.
That's ridiculous, in my opinion, that they should be off after the way they looked yesterday.
Yeah, no, they're touring.
They just got there on Friday.
Yeah, they're hanging out today. And I would argue that maybe they need a day to break away from it all, but they've had off days, and that still hasn't changed the results on the field. But back to the culture point of this all, because I do think the comments from Cisco, if anything, he didn't use the word accountability. And again, he pointed the finger at himself as well, even though Doug says that he's not finger pointing. He did say that he felt like that at times, like it probably looked like he quit. He hinted at that at the very least. And that speaks to accountability, which speaks to culture. And so Doug Peterson was also asked to clarify the comments that he made to Bucky Brooks post-game about there needs to be a culture change.
Obviously, we've lost some games here, right? So we want to change that culture to a winning culture. That's why we coach, and that's why we play. I think I don't want them to feel, even though we haven't won yet, I don't want them to feel sort of mentally defeated, if that makes sense. Because that's where the slippery slope comes in, right? If you feel like you're going into a game where you don't have a chance, then you're not going to have a chance. You're not going to give yourself an opportunity to win that game. So that's what I mean by that culture there.
Did they go into yesterday's game thinking that they couldn't win? That was a comment that shocked me this morning.
Yeah, it is. And I would be curious, honestly, to hear from some of the players about how they were feeling heading into that game. Because I think for the most part, when you were talking, you come off a game like last week, and yes, it was kind of close against the Colts, but everything felt like it was starting to get, at least on the offensive side of the ball, starting to come into sync, where you're like, okay, and you get Evan Ingram back, and you felt like, which obviously Evan Ingram is a massive part of this offense. You see that in one game. Even on bad days, he's making so much impact on the field. And so you get Evan Ingram back, and there's all of these positive strides that you saw the week before. Trevor's kind of settled in, and you've seen him not make those mistakes that he was making the first couple weeks. And so it felt, I feel like if I was that team, I would be confident heading into that game, honestly, because you're going against, yes, a good defense, but a good defense that was missing some pieces and also doesn't make this London trip, isn't as comfortable with this London trip. They also hadn't played good teams. So, like, there were moments that they could have taken advantage of that. And so it's interesting. That comment it's kind of makes me raise my eyebrow a little bit of what were your mindset then heading into there? You didn't think you could win?
Yeah, it feels like at the first hint of adversity, they crumble.
And Trevor said that. Mm-hmm. Trevor said we can't be this fragile.
And that starts at the top.
Right. And it speaks to culture, which cannot be established in a week.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we've asked everybody, every former player, every former coach we've had on 1010XL the last few weeks, like, can you manifest culture in a week? And the answer inherently is no. Like, it can't just suddenly emerge.
You had all offseason to build what you want in a team. And the way that you had the collapse last year, and Doug Peterson flat out said, I'll never forget the way this season ended. And now what? The defense might be worse than it was last year to end the season. And the offense certainly isn't any better. All right, we'll keep breaking it down. Go ahead.
I just wanted to note, like, to the point of Anton Harrison, like, I did not think Trevor Lawrence and the offensive line were the issue the first few drives. Mm-hmm. I mean, and honestly, with Trevor, it was.
I don't think it was Trevor an issue, honestly.
Trevor, you can point the underthrow to BTJ. Okay, like everybody makes mistakes here and there outside of Jared Goff, I guess. And
the interception.
And then the interception, which at that point, you're down 3 scores and you're pressing.
Yeah.
Up until that point, he was not the problem. And I know we talked about this actually in our promo meeting this morning, that nationally, the narrative is going to be, well, he could be on his 3rd head coach in 5 years. He's the problem. If you watch that game, he is far from the biggest issue. He's an issue, but he is not the biggest issue right now, at the very least, in the microcosm, in the vacuum of that one singular game. And I do think that if you were to look at the first 2-3 drives of that game, to your point, Taylor, this team had it in hand.
Yep.
It is very hard to wrap your head around. Gabe Davis drops a touchdown. Travis Etienne fumbles in the end zone against Miami, and they just pack it up right there. I've never seen anything like it, and that's why, obviously the immediate thought is, well, they're mentally weak and they're not able to overcome adversity, which is strange because the bulk of this roster was here 2 years ago when they were 2-6 and then went to the postseason. And so that suggests to me that they're not mentally weak if they're the same people that they were 2 years ago. And then on the flip side of that, it's also this idea of, are they just cursed? But also, like, it has to speak to the bigger picture of culture, because that says that you're not evolving from where you were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the league changes 10% each year. And if you have not evolved with it, then that's on you. And that is firmly on the coaches.
That's why in free agency they brought all these winners here.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
To change.
By the way,
nothing, and also haven't helped in the culture,
right,
the mentality.
Which to
Mitch
that
Morse,
point,
I think, is
right.
good.
I was going to say, like, D-Rock asked the question of Doug this
end. That's
right.
it.
Well, D-Rock asked Doug that question this morning, and we'll play that a little bit later about how well this free agent class has looked. And the de facto, like, point the finger from the media perspective was Gabe Davis and Eric Armstead not living up to the lofty expectations. But yeah, we completely bypassed, like, Mitch Morse, who's been arguably one of the most consistent players on this entire team. So,
he's been good.
We'll give him his flowers.
Overall, the offense has been
RJ
terrible.
Hacker, you can make Mitch Morse the offensive player of the week.
It could be worse. It could be the Titans or the Cowboys. So we'll continue the Jaguars conversation on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Bold City AC, heating that rules.
Is your AC ready for the holidays? Bold City Heating and Air ensures your AC stays in tip-top shape. We know that a clean AC is a healthy AC. Upgrade yours for just $96 a month and enjoy free duct cleanings with your new system. Plus, ask about our 0% financing options.
Bold City AC, we got the crew. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
Imagine a place where the sun is always shining, the drinks are ice cold, and the food is bursting with flavor. Welcome to Hurricane Grill and Wings, where locals and visitors alike gather to weather this storm we call life. And you can escape here anytime you like. Today's forecast, hot, crispy wings with a 100% chance of frothy beers. Later, we're predicting big burgers and seafood tacos moving in. Escape the ordinary. HurricaneWings.com.
Mia here for my friends at Pro Jax Roofing, hoping everyone is safe and doing well after Hurricane Milton. If your roof did take on any damage at all, know that ProJax Roofing is here to help. From the smallest of repairs to full roof replacements, my friend Mike has been serving all of Northeast Florida for 25 years. While we hope everyone remains safe and stayed safe during the storm or any storms to come, if you need any help with your roof, call ProJax Roofing at 904-338-1722. That's 904-338-1722, or visit online at projaxroofingfl.com.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Hey, gang, Prosser here to save you some cash. Maximize your home sale now with the market experts who deliver more money in less time, and those experts are Chad and Sandy Newman. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. You don't have to worry. The worries are relieved with Chad and Sandy, the local real estate experts we are trusting and recommending with the sale of your home. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Mortgage rates are down. It's time to create your market. Marvin in Cobblestone writes, my siblings and I moved our parents to Maryland so they can get some extra help as they get older. Next, we had to sell the home to get them some financial help for their extra care. We hired Chad and Sandy, and they delivered big. Chad and Sandy's team got our home sold in 7 days above asking price. You can too. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com. That's ChadAndSandy.com.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots, and the first treatment now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Post-game Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 14, 1973, future Baseball Hall of Fame center fielder Willie Mays hits his last career hit as the New York Mets beat the A's in Game 2 of the World Series in Oakland.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged-up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass, and he told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm Mac with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
If you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle with lifetime warranty, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Best price, best payment, best trade-in value, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. With a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there is always a little room for wiggle.
Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Tailgate special alert.
3 pounds of marinated chicken, 2 pounds of marinated steak tips, 2 pounds of fresh ground beef, and 2 pounds of homemade sausage for only $80 to feed your crew.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla. Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars safety Andre Sisco made some headline-grabbing comments after Sunday's loss to the Bears.
I don't know, I just feel like it was, how should I say this? A lot of quit. And, I don't know, last line of defense, in a situation like that, you can feel when we're playing as one and when we're not. And felt very early in the game, kind of once things maybe at a halftime, that we weren't playing as one.
Jaguars safety Andre Sisco in the postgame with Action Sports Jax Television. After the loss to the Bears, the Jags are now 1-5 on the season. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dalmio, Brian, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Like I said, it could be worse. The Jaguars, 35-16 to the Bears felt bad, but the Cowboys lost last night 47-9 at home. Meanwhile, the Texans lost to the Colts, led by Joe Flacco, 20-17. And here is Will Levis's stat line: 16 of 27 for 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So does that make everyone feel better? It could be worse?
I mean, you got to look at the positives, I guess. I said earlier in the year, like before the season started, and we were talking about expectations for the season and, what would you consider wins, a win and a loss for the season and for Trevor and individual players, but as a team as a whole. And one of the comments I made was like, I'm just ready for a season where you're not just rooting more for the other teams to lose than you are for your own team to win. And that's kind of where you're back to now. Like, okay, well, hopefully the Titans and the Colts and the Texans can lose because the Jags can't win a game on the weekend. And so I think that's great. Like, you could see Will Levis and be like, well, at least they have worse things they have to deal with now. They
also
don't
are
have
in a rebuilding year, though.
Yeah.
Like, they straight up have a brand new head coach and a brand new staff.
Retirement home. Calvin Ridley's mad.
Oh yeah, that was that's if you do want a little ounce of a laugh or a joy, go listen to Calvin Ridley.
We can't play it on air because there's too many customers.
Viewer discretion is advised. Just search his name and you'll find it. The grass ain't always greener on the other side, but I guess he did get paid. And yeah, I want to go beyond the AFC South, and this is with all due respect to this. Well, we could go to Dallas too, because that's certainly the national storyline right now. I want to go to last night's Sunday Night Football game. Because two things, beginning with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, so much fun. However, I was secretly rooting for them to lose only because common denominator, Bengals, Jags. I think we all know where I'm going with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just piss poor defense, because I actually thought Lou Anarumo's defense really stepped up to the plate last night. And yes, it's Daniel Jones, but at the same time.
And without neighbors.
Yes, exactly. So, yes. But at the same time, they needed to have that good taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
So happy for that group, because obviously on the offensive side of the ball, Joe Burrow ranks in the top 5 in almost every statistical category, yet they entered the game 1-4, which is kind of hard to wrap your head around. On the other side of that, though,
the Ravens started 0-2, and now they're 4-2.
I know.
Right.
Well, in the game he doesn't throw a touchdown, they win.
Oh, yeah. It's always the way it goes. Listen, the earth is round for a reason, folks. But on the other side of that is the New York Giants. The New York Giants were a team that, yes, they made the decision to stick with Daniel Jones for better or worse. Last year, they re-signed him after a playoff campaign in 2022. He got hurt last year. so many folks had Joe Shane and Brian Daboll on the hot seat. While I still believe they are on the hot seat, I think they are proving the fruits of their labor in the offseason. Shane Bowen comes in. That defense appears to be operating at a better rate than Wink Martindale's a year ago. At the very least, is cohesive, and that defensive front is getting after it. The trade for Brian Burns, if only last night, appears to have been a good move for the longevity of the franchise. So that's one. You also look at the fact that with Brian Daboll now calling plays, Daniel Jones is at the very least operating like an NFL quarterback, which I don't think you could say before he got hurt last year. Final line of 22 for 41 for 205 yards, 0 touchdowns, yes. No Malik Neighbors, certainly. And then the 1 interception, which was, again, boneheaded play. It's going to happen with Daniel Jones, but he is moving up and down the field. The operation looks like an NFL operation. And at the end of the day, they went to Seattle last week, and they got a win.
Yeah.
I can't help but look at that team, which, yes, only has one more win than the team in this town. But I see fight. I see an identity. I see the hard-nosed Brian Daboll. We don't make mistakes. Yes, they weren't able to scoop up that fumble at the end. You can call that a mistake all you want, but the ball's going to bounce weird ways. That's the nature of the National Football League. And that is, Lauren, where, to bring this conversation full circle as we go around the league, but also look back at our previous conversation about culture in this town with this team, I feel like the Giants are now on a better trajectory to not only retain their head coach and their GM. I think ultimately what they're going to do is they'll probably pick 12th, maybe. They get Jalen Milroe or Cam Ward, whoever's there at that point, and they take that young quarterback and they sit him for a year because it'll be the final year of Daniel Jones' contract. And ultimately they get a chance to design that next offense. If it continues to look the way it does, it could completely change. But at least right now I am seeing a team that plays with an identity and for a coach that went out, addressed their offensive line issues from a year ago, and it's paying off at the very least to allow the quarterback to operate at what for him may be peak efficiency.
Well, right now, what we're going to do here in Jacksonville is we're going to look around the league and say, which coordinator can we steal to be our next head coach? Yeah. And that's where we are with this team, 1-5. And I mean, the Jags are favored by 5.5 points as of right now to beat the Patriots in London. But would anyone be surprised if the Patriots win?
Yeah.
No. No. So they're going to be 1-6 coming back from London, or they could be 1-6 coming back from London, I should say. And yeah, we're gonna look at the Ben Johnsons of the world and wonder what could he do with Trevor
and 47
exactly. and look, Trevor Lawrence, yes, he had Urban Meyer, then he had the interim of Darrell Bevel, and now Doug Peterson with Press Taylor. He's at this point, it does look like he's going to have another whole regime in. But can they turn it around as quickly as, let's say, the Commanders are doing with a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, as good as the Bears looked yesterday with a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams?
Yeah, and I think that I'm sure there's a few things, like the Giants are probably looking a little bit like, oh, it'd be nice to have Saquon Barkley maybe on the team to help out a little bit. But you know what? It didn't happen is things don't look like they've completely fallen apart. And everybody kind of thought that, honestly. They're like, you get rid of your best offensive player in Saquon, and this is going to be a disaster. And to Mia's point, they've had two pretty bad losses, I guess not great losses, but to a Vikings team and a Bengals team. And then you look at the rest, and they're beating a Browns team that you should. And you go through the rest of their schedule. We talked about the Seattle game. But so there's flashes there of at least positivity. And it's after losing someone who was such a massive part of what your franchise has been for several years now.
And two of those games are without Malik Neighbors, who entering the week, even though he didn't play last week, still led the NFL in receptions. Yeah. As vital a cog in an offense as you're going to find at the wide receiver position.
How did we get here that we're saying positive things about the Giants and Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll?
Well, you know what? And again, we don't know how this story ends, both here and in New York. But and maybe it was because of the inside look we got into HBO's Hard Knocks, the off-season program. Yeah. Like, I found myself watching that series, questioning the Giants' series of moves and this idea of patchworking things. But again, that then speaks to coaching and culture, that despite the fact that you could argue they only patchworked losing Saquon with Devin Singletary, who didn't play last night, they draft Tyrone Tracy, who, mind you, spent the first 4 years of his college career as a wide receiver, actually 4.5 years, because the final year at Purdue, he was largely a wide receiver as well. He looks awesome. And that says to me, that's coaching, and that's believing in an identity. Since you brought up Saquon, though, Taylor, before we get to the Cowboys, we would be remiss, and I said it to our very own Max Fink, who is from the Philly area, as soon as I walked in this morning. That's the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles are 3.
And the Cowboys both.
Yes. But the Philadelphia Eagles are 3-2, and they want their head coach fired because he's a weirdo, for lack of a better term. I mean, no offense. Like, Nick Sirianni, you're 3-2. Your team is playing, maybe not stomping on the throats of their opposition like so many believe that they should against a team like the Cleveland Browns. You only win by 4. Jalen Hurts throws for 264. By the way, Saquon Barkley held to just a 2.6 yard per carry clip, and he only had 2 catches, so not exactly a big Saquon day.
Yeah.
But you pull out a victory, and as opposed to celebrating with your team, pumping your team up, and just focusing on the task at hand, you start yelling at the fans? Like, I mean, I know he's getting...
not the first time he's done stuff
Correct.
like that. That's like the type of person he is.
And so that's where, again, they could get on a heater, go to the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley has looked awesome in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. But once again, what does that speak to? It speaks to, yes, him being kind of an outlier and a weirdo. But that, once again, speaks to culture. Yeah. If that is the image of what your franchise is right now, if that is what your players are seeing and is, as Michael Lombardi tweeted yesterday, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. If you are allowing that to occur because you are actually directly involved in that, then he should absolutely be on the hot seat. And once again, what does it come back to? Culture. It comes back to what is the operation, not just individual plays and individual players. What does the operation look like? And yes, the overall operation in Dallas also certainly looks broken.
Yes. It's about having an identity on offense and defense. And Taylor, when I joined you for your podcast last week, that was something that I told you and the viewers, like, there's no identity for the Jags on offense or defense. And that's where good teams certainly can point to, this is what we do well. And we're going to do this, whether it works in the first quarter or not, but we're going to keep doing it because this is what we do well. This is our identity. And I feel like the Cowboys' identity the last few seasons is Dak is really good with stats.
Yeah.
But Dak Prescott's always going to also throw some picks, and things obviously spiraled out of control. It was sad to see Aiden Hutchinson lost for the season with that broken tibia. He had to have surgery last night. That was rough to see. But something tells me that the Lions will be okay because they probably have depth at edge rusher, and they're a team that plays hard for one another because of their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, they play hard for Dan Campbell and they play hard for Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson, just what he's been able to do with that offense, even when maybe it's not an Amon-Ra St. Brown day, the way they're just able to make everybody weapons on that offense and scheme so many things to just perfectly mesh with what Jared Goff can and can't do. And that's what's great. And so when you have 2 coaches like that, we talk about here and we're having the conversation about Ryan Nielsen or Doug or Press. And there's all of these guys. They need to be probably taking a look in the mirror right now, because when you have teams like the Lions, who not too long ago were in the abyss,
who blew it up,
nothing. Yes,
and by the way, Jared Goff was left on the side of the road.
Yes,
like for nothing. Like he was. I mean, if Sean McVay all but writes you off and says I don't need you anymore, and if we're clamoring in this town for a Sean McVay disciple to coach Trevor Lawrence and coach the Jags, wouldn't it suggest that if the guy says, yeah, no, he's damaged goods, you should forget about him and look what they've been able to do with him?
Yeah.
The Jaguars don't have a guy that I feel like that can take the offense to the next level. We
as a coach or as a quarterback?
We just lamented play calling for the first few weeks of the season, and then it was execution. If the play calling wasn't so bad the last 2 weeks, it was the execution. And then yesterday, I feel like it was a combination of literally
it was just like actual talent of people not being able to catch a football.
Right. But and some of the play calls I thought were bad too. So it was all bad offensively and it was all bad defensively. All right. We'll get it to college football a lot going on Friday night and Saturday night in that realm. You're listening to Helmets and Heels. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. You can find them online at bigchieftire.com. Voted best tire shop in Jacksonville for 5 years in a row. That's my friends at Big Chief Tire. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Let's go. Game day gets here a little quicker with Pregame Friday.
Here we go.
Who's in, who's out, who's on upset watch.
Exactly.
We'll get you ready for the games. Brought to you by MyBookie and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dream Finders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why they're unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Wow. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again, 2.99% year one rate. Dream Finders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is Paige, owner of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. People ask me all the time what's healthy, and that's hard because healthy is different from losing weight. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. There are a lot of foods out there that are healthy foods, but they're not going to support your weight loss. And that's what we're here to help with. We're here to help you get in the healthy foods that are going to help you lose weight. The Awaken 180 difference is our coaches. It's our team. You can find things online about weight loss, but you try them yourself and they just don't work. And that's because everyone is different. And that's what our coaches are so skilled at helping you figure out.
They certainly figure it out. This is Mike Dempsey, and as you all know, I dropped my 25 pounds in just 4 weeks thanks to Awaken 180. They did the work, I just followed my plan. They did the same for Matt Hayes, and I'd say they hit the mark with Hacker, who's dropped 100 pounds already. Let them do it for you. Reserve your consultation at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800 for Awaken 180.
At Hodges Mazda, we are proud of our solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. Lauren Brooks here. As your hometown Mazda dealer, our high customer service standards and our huge inventory of new and used cars provide our customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Our professional, non-commissioned sales team puts your best interest first without exception. And every vehicle purchased from Hodges Mazda comes with 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJags.com. It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
Whether you're navigating rush hour traffic or heading to the home team game on the weekend, remember, drive cautiously. If you find yourself in a fender bender, don't ignore those aches and pains. Injury Care Centers is there for you. Skip the urgent cares that treat colds and flus. They're not equipped to handle injuries. Go straight to Injury Care Centers. Call 904-783-0008. That's 904-783-0008. Drive safe, think Injury Care Centers, and go team.
Rake in the savings this fall with Universal Roof and Contract. Enjoy 15% off all roof repairs and replacements with financing options as low as $115 a month. Protecting your home has never been easier. Schedule your free roof inspection today. Call 855-ROOF-HELP. This offer expires October 31st. Protect your home and your wallet. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
Integrity, persistence, and standing up for victims. It's what you want in a personal injury case and what my friend and lawyer Glenn Cohen brings to every case for over 40 years. Call Glenn at Barnes, Cohen, and Sullivan.
These are interesting economic times. That's why it's so important to have someone you can count on. That's ITP Partners. Jacksonville folks taking care of our Jacksonville money. Experience? You best believe you want to give your hard-earned money to folks you trust. Jeff Hartman, Chris Bryan, Dan Abel, Reed Wingate, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reagan Wright have the expertise and knowledge to help clients in their financial lives, focusing on investment management, financial planning, and risk management. ITP Partners. Financial partners for life. Securities offered through American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Mia here, hoping everyone had a profitable betting weekend on MyBookie. If you did, Monday Night Football tonight to rack it up. If you didn't, you have Monday Night Football tonight to get right. The Buffalo Bills travel south to take on I don't even know how to describe the New York Jets. They just fired their head coach. We've seen this before, though, where teams rally after a big shakeup. The Jets are 2.5-point dogs at home with a 41-point over-under at MyBookie. This game often plays closer than we think, so take a long, hard look at the JETS Jets. MyBookie has the best sign-up bonus in the industry for Florida bettors. Our listeners can sign up and use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Sign up, promo code 1010XL, and claim that double deposit bonus tonight for Monday Night Football. Bet anywhere, anytime, and make your season a winning season with MyBookie.
Welcome to ABS Advanced Business Solutions, your local print management partner, and home to Xerox and HP copiers.
Advanced Business Solutions.
GoABSinc.com.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Brought to you by Riddle Wellness. The Bishop Kenny Crusaders get back into action tonight as they host Menendez at 6:30. Both teams are 3-3 for the season and looking to secure another win tonight. Catch the game live on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Also getting back into action this week, the FSU Seminoles come off their bye week and travel up north to take on the Duke Blue Devils for a Friday night matchup at 7. The Georgia Bulldogs walked away with the win Saturday night, beating Mississippi State 41-31. Coach Kirby Smart spoke post-game on the win.
Just got on rhythm. I did a really nice job with pass pro. Carson was in rhythm. Great to get those guys going. We got to continue to get better. Frustrating some of the things in the secondary. 50-50 balls. I don't think we won maybe one 50-50 balls out there on the perimeter. And we worked really hard on that and give them credit. They got some good wideouts, and I thought their quarterback gained confidence throughout the game.
It's 84 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dollar, Jay Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Big Chief Tire Monday. I saw Nicole Auerbach tweet this out. I can't believe that some people actually like the NFL more than college football after we saw 3 games that certainly we talked about last week all go to overtime, and then you had other close games as well. But yes, Tennessee beat Florida in overtime. LSU beat Ole Miss in overtime. And then you had USC lose to Penn State in overtime. So those 3 games were scintillating. We'll start, I guess, the Gators, because the anger that flowed through me Saturday night, my blood pressure over the weekend was way too high. Florida, of course, had the lead, and I think would have won the game if Graham Mertz is able to remain in the game and doesn't get injured and, again, lost for the season now. Because DJ Lagway, the first series he gets in there, throws an interception. I don't think Graham Mertz does that. However, the larger point is, how do you continue to have special teams issues when you're Billy Napier with 12 players on the field? And how do you make some of the dumbest in-game decisions that he makes and still keep your job? And that's where, when it came to the offseason discussions of should Billy Napier be the leader of this program moving forward for this 2024 season or not, those of us who watch closely say he's terrible at clock management and he's not a good play caller. And also, yes, he tried to fix the special teams, still issues there. All that being said, how do you continue to say, yes, you're the guy for the job moving beyond this year? So at this point in time, I think after the loss to Tennessee, when you should have won, I don't think he's going to keep his job. But we also said that after Florida lost the way they did to Miami, after Florida lost to Texas A&M as big as they did. I think at some point that's part of the conversation. The question I now have is Florida actually a decent football team? And if they had a better coach, they might actually have a better record? That's what I think was so completely different to me than what I thought going in.
This game was certainly lost by the coaching miscues.
100%.
Yes, 100%.
Offense played well, defense played well, special teams played
correct.
well.
I would not go as far as to say DJ Lagway, he threw a pick as soon as he came into the ball game, and this rotation of 3rd, 6th, 9th series for DJ and the other drives are for Graham Mertz was fooled to begin with, which, by the way, in case you missed it, Graham Mertz is out for the season now with a knee injury. So now you have no choice. You're riding with DJ Lagway. I bring that up, Lauren, to say I do think that final touchdown in the waning minutes of regulation, Graham Mertz cannot physically thread the needle the way that DJ Lagway lasered that ball into the back of the end zone through traffic, up the seam. Like, that is where, again, if you're Billy Napier, your leash, your ultimate Hail Mary lies in DJ Lagway. If he looks like he did outside of that interception on Saturday, and look, there are going to be growing pains, but if you look like the operation you were Saturday, but with better coaching decisions.
But how's that going to get fixed?
And the quarterback continues to grow week after week. That's the only prayer that you have right now. And so,
but that's what true freshmen are going to do. They're going to make mistakes. That's why you had Graham.
That's why you
available.
play him. Unlike, maybe Nico Iamaleava. Bob Wischusen said it very well on Saturday. It was actually helping me practice it for today's program. If you had been like him, or if you had been Tennessee, where maybe last year they should have been getting him into more games, so he looked a little more game ready than he has through the first 5-6 weeks of the season so far. I'm here for the rotation for that purpose, to give DJ Lagway reps in what right now appears to be another lost season in Gainesville. But at the same time, I wouldn't go as far as to say they win the game because of if Graham Mertz plays. I don't think that's the case. Ultimately,
they were controlling the clock, though, when Mertz was in.
They were. They also were controlling the clock when Montrell Johnson was in, and then unfortunately he suffers an injury and he's out. And I still thought that, they at least managed to move up and down the field more successfully than they had in previous outings. For me, it's the coaching miscues that led to Florida losing the game. And it's also go for two. What do you have to lose? You are 3-2. It's a silent Neyland Stadium. What do you have to lose? Now, to that point, because we're going to talk...
Because you know that your team in that moment isn't prepared to handle that.
We had that play. It was only drawn up for Graham and Montreal and Graham. And we didn't have the personnel to run that play.
Right.
I don't want to hear it.
See,
Be
I disagree.
prepared.
Because we critique a coach here that constantly goes for two.
Yeah.
Or goes for it on fourth down when you think that they're not going to get it and things like that. So I understand, also, yes, he's the one who had the quote, "Scared money don't make money." So if that's your philosophy, then you have to stick by it. He didn't stick by it. And the moment that Trace Mack missed the field goal in overtime, that's when I knew, okay, somehow, some way, Tennessee wins this game. They shouldn't have, but they're going to win the game.
I do think, Lauren, when you're, to your point, you do start to question at this point because we've seen Graham Mertz, and then now the flashes of Lagway. We'll see more, obviously, with Lagway taking the rest of the season with Mertz injury. But the offensive line's played really well. You do feel like the defense has gotten better.
Way better.
Throughout the season. Each game you feel like they're playing better. And so you do kind of want to look directly at coaches, and if somebody else, let's just say Lane Kiffin was here, would some of these games that, like this one that goes to overtime that the Florida should have won, would they have won that with a different coach? Because all of these things that we're talking about are directly correlated to coaching mistakes. And I think you have to look at that. But I do also think that, I know it sucks, you don't want to lose, but you probably don't want to beat Tennessee because that gives Napier even a longer leash.
Also, it's anytime Ole Miss loses,
you always want to beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right. Anytime
then you're stuck with Napier.
Right. And also,
you have plenty of other chances to lose. You always want to beat a rival on the road in their house.
Living in a opponent's head rent-free. My God. Look at what Florida has been the better part of the last 2 years. And yet Tennessee fans were still panicked knew that this game could get wonky, which I did not, and yet here we are.
You have to know that those types of games are always going to be a razor-thin margin because there's so much history there. Even if those kids are 18, 19, 20, and they're not as fully aware of the history as other people who have been around for it, you still know. Same with Florida State at times, too.
It's any rivalry game.
Those games, other than right now, maybe Florida-Georgia hasn't been that close.
I just thought that Tennessee was a lot better than they've shown the last 2 weeks, both in Fayetteville and at home against the Gators.
Well, now they get to take on Alabama.
Right, exactly. And now they'll probably show up and they'll probably win the game.
Now we'll see what they're made of.
Right, exactly. Or Alabama will show up because Lord knows after the last 2 weeks they've had.
Rough last couple.
Kalen DeBoer is...
they won. That's all.
He went from being potentially on the ballot for the national election in November, if only in the state of Alabama, as a write-in candidate to message boards calling for his job.
I wonder how much they're panicking.
Oh, they're panicking.
Full panic.
They are.
Yeah.
And you know what? And actually, again, I think this is the theme of the program. It's about culture. And the fact that Nick Saban and the game day crew openly talked about They didn't like how Malachi Moore, because Malachi Starks is on Georgia, it always confuses me, that Malachi Moore was like trash talking and had to issue a statement apologizing to Vanderbilt and to their fan base. The fact that they've looked undisciplined at times, the fact that they are running their mouth, the fact that they're on social media, that didn't exist in the Saban era, and the fact that they are openly talking about it on game day with Nick Saban sitting there says to me, the water is very warm in Alabama. He's not going to get fired. He beat Georgia, and I think they are on a trajectory to make the college football playoff.
Maybe.
Tennessee may have something to say about that if they are the Tennessee we thought they were when they went on the road and beat Oklahoma, even if Oklahoma doesn't look like Oklahoma.
Who are they?
That was a long way of
Texas is the only team in the SEC right now that you know for sure who they are.
This was a long way of
no matter what quarterback's playing.
Right. This was.
But they have a test with Georgia this week.
They do, which Georgia is a road dog, by the way. We'll get to those lines.
That does not surprise me because of how things have looked for Georgia too.
Correct. When they were up only by 10 on Mississippi State at home, I was like, Kirby, what are we doing? Mike Bobo, where you at? This was a long way of me getting to the following. Florida fans, I've come home. I've come home to the point that any loss for Ole Miss is a good loss for you. You win if Lane Kiffin decides to pack his bags. We are back at square one, and I'm there with you too because he looked frustrated. His quarterback looked like one of the Jedi warriors with his hood over him in the post-game press conference. Did one Jackson Dart, and he straight up said, "We played great. I don't know how we lost the game." And that ultimately is where you want Lane Kiffin to be at. We played great. We're winning games, but we're still not where I want to be at.
12 penalties for 110 yards. That's how you lose a football game
for Ole Miss. Yeah, you scored 9 points in 3 quarters. That's not going to win you many college football games.
And I do wonder, it's way too early to analyze those types of situations because we have no idea where the rest of the season is going to go for any of these teams. But certainly for the here and now, it looks like the Lane Kiffin experiment winning the national championship at Ole Miss isn't going to happen this season, despite the fact that they brought in all that transfer portal talent. One to get to Ohio State, Oregon, just quickly that Ryan Day and his group wasn't prepared for some trickery by Oregon having the 12 men on the field, and which actually ended up helping them run some time off the clock. But look, Ohio State fans right now are so upset with Will Howard and the fact that he did exactly what Nico Iamaleava did the week before in running out of bounds as time expires. You have to know better than that. Yeah. And so, Oregon wins that ball game.
This was the Dylan Gabriel game I've been waiting for. I was like, there he is.
He's obviously now, along with Ashton Jeanty, a Heisman frontrunner.
Yeah. And to the Will Howard point, it only fuels the fire of, Matt Hayes and company were right. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that he played poorly in this game because I didn't think he did. I mean, let's go to the box score. 28 of 35 for 326 and 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty darn good stat line.
Jeremiah Smith had a day.
Yeah, and also
so did Buka.
Drew an OPI solely because he's so massive. And it's not his fault that little defensive backs just bounce off of him. But that's the sad part is I look at Will Howard's stat line and I see 28 of 35 for 326, a 9.3 average and 2 touchdowns, a QBR of 93.4, which was only 2 points lower than Dylan Gabriel. And unfortunately, it will be viewed as a failure because of the missed clock management at the very end of the game and the fact that in the eyes of many, he's just a guy. He's not a needle mover. And the fact that Ohio State went out and they assembled this treasure trove of talent around him, it still didn't matter at the end. Now,
but also the defense gave up 32 points.
I was about to say, we've talked about this defense who was talked about as being one of the best, if not the best in the nation, and you allow 32.
Right.
But again, it's to Dylan Gabriel's almost the game that everyone's been waiting for him, here he is in Oregon game. But
and of course, this thank you to 329 for reminding me the Sith, not the Jedi, was who Jackson Dart was looking like. No, I think that yes to all that. It's on the defense to give up 32 points to a team that, let's be real, Oregon was expected to be a top 10 offense in college football this year, and they certainly have been progressing towards that, even if Gabriel hasn't been exactly what everyone hoped and dreamed he would be. I think Oklahoma certainly wishes they kept his services around.
Definitely.
But for me, I look at this and I say, if you're Ohio State, you're banking on, we're going to meet again. So long as we run the table, we will meet again in the Big Ten championship game. There's a chance we meet in the college football playoff, and we probably won't have to go to Eugene. for either of those two games.
I do think, though, Penn State, I thought for sure they'd lose to USC. And the fact that they were able to win that game in overtime, they're going to give Ohio State a run for their money. Do I expect James Franklin's squad to win every game this season? They never do, so no.
No.
However,
this was the fraud off. I already called it that. Yeah.
Could be another game that Ohio State loses. We shall see. All right, we've got more to do on the other side. Taylor Dahl has a tangent. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. Visit BigChiefTire.com. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. If offense and defense don't win the game, sometimes it's up to the special team.
And here comes the field goal team. They've got to hurry.
After the game, catch the Crown Royal Special Teams Player of the Game. Live generously and life will treat you royally on 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. If water flows through it, the team at Duck Duck can install it or repair it. From septic tank pump outs, drain field installations, clog drains, water heaters to repipes, they do it all. And they do it well. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google and see what customers just like you are saying about their experience with Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit duckduckrooter.com to schedule service today.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
Helmets and Heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Are you ready to upgrade your home? Experience the winning combination of style and performance with Renewal by Andersen, energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Buy 4 windows or patio doors and get the 5th free. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires October 31st and restrictions apply. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613. Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots and the first treatment now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
When it comes to selling your home, it can be stressful. Take the stress out with my friends Chad and Sandy Newman. Maybe you're worried you won't sell your home for the price you need. How's this for a guarantee? Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they'll buy it. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Mortgage rates are down, creating more active buyers and sellers, and if you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home. Take Kim in Palm Coast. I needed to move closer to family ASAP, but I had to sell my Palm Coast home first. I tried and failed with another agent. So my family said, you got to call Chad and Sandy. Well, sure enough, as promised, Chad and Sandy did it. They sold my home in 3 days, above asking price. Call the local Jacksonville experts I trust and recommend. Call Chad and Sandy today at 904-414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com. That's Chad, ANDSANDY.com.
Poker players, brace yourselves. The World Poker Tour storms into Best Bet Jacksonville October 31st to November 19th, and the forecast calls for massive prize pools. Event 1 has a cool $200,000 guarantee. Event 6, a downpour of $300,000. And the main event, a flood of a $1 million guarantee. WPT Championship satellites are already brewing. Don't get left high and dry. Head to bestbetjacks.com for details. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Now, It's time to showcase the Crown Royal Special Teams Player of the Game. Live generously and life will treat you royally.
Logan Cook had a smooth performance on Sunday for Jacksonville. The teal and black punter tallied 4 punts that would total 193 yards, with his longest punt going for 53 yards. Cook's game continues to be as cool as the other side of the pillow, and he's your Crown Royal Special Teams Player of the Game.
Post-game Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and GIA-certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $2,300 per ounce and hasn't seen this level in over 13 years. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
He'll help you find the fish.
Bite's gonna pick up pretty soon.
Captain Kevin and the Wing Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Veterans Wholesale Cabinets.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
This is David Lane. After suffering through several painful injuries to my shoulder, back, and knees, I've taken my issues to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and without fail, they've been a tremendous help towards solving my problems. If you have any orthopedic situations, don't procrastinate. Take action today. Give those aches and pains to the pros at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. You'll be glad you did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Roof damage? Call before you claim. Green Law Group, fighting insurance companies for you. They will work for you when you have roof damage. Don't let your insurance deny you. Don't call an adjuster. Call Green Law Group at 904-302-7055. Remember, if you have roof damage, call Green Law Group before you claim. They've settled millions and will work hard to get your claim and new roof. Green Law Group. Call before you claim. 904-302-7055.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dalmio, O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. I've been meaning to say this for a couple weeks. The worst part about your teams not being good at football, the absolute worst part, is that you can't trash talk. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't last week trash talk any Tennessee fan because I thought we'd cover, but I didn't think we'd actually win.
Yeah.
The fact that Florida should have won is a whole different story like we just talked about. But for the Jags, I would have loved to trash talk with some Bears fans. I can't. I literally, and that's one of the most fun parts of being a fan is to engage in that kind of discourse before a game.
And it's the worst when you just can't say, and you're like,
nothing.
Well,
what can I say?
Yeah,
well, Trevor's good.
At least last year, even in the loss, not that you were trash talking, but you were still like, okay, your quarterback hasn't practiced the whole month of December. There's reasons behind like why this is such a disaster. Right now, you're just kind of like,
yeah, they're practicing to my knowledge right now. Yeah. The Jags are. Yeah, football season is supposed to be fun, and
not today. They're not practicing today.
No, not today. But I feel the lack of joy from Florida State fans, from Florida fans, from Jaguars fans. I understand it. I totally get it, and I get also that Miami fans are nothing but joyful and filled with excitement because their team hasn't lost a game yet. Which, by the way,
they just got to like chill and relax this weekend.
Yes, they take on Louisville this coming weekend, so that'll be interesting for those Canes fans out there. All right now Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
I'm going to share some numbers about a good football team in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens. You mentioned earlier, Lauren, about an 0-2 start, and that didn't shake them whatsoever. They're
good culture.
Yeah, that culture is really positive up there. in Baltimore. But so the Baltimore Ravens recorded 176 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in their 30-23 win over Washington yesterday. Lamar Jackson totaled 363 yards, 323 passing, 40 rushing, and Derrick Henry rushed for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. We are not missing him in this division, at least.
He's on pace for 1,995 yards over 17 games at the age of 30. I watched every second of that game yesterday because I was excited to see what Jaden Daniels and the Commanders could potentially do against the Ravens. And they certainly held their own. Lost by a touchdown, but he played really well. Those are 2 teams that you want to be fans of if you're a Jags fan because of the mobile quarterbacks and because of the style that they play.
Yeah, and that's what they just do. When you come, we're in this world so much recently about, especially the last few years, and I feel like it did shift a little bit this year where, like, the run game's done. You can't pay running backs. Like, you're not going to win in this league if you only run the ball. And Baltimore's like, okay, here, hold my beer.
All the Super Bowl winners haven't had, like, highly paid running backs.
It goes back, like, 12 years where it's like the Super Bowl winner has their running back makes, like, under $1 million a year or something like that. It's crazy. But so Baltimore's 1,232 rushing yards this season are the 4th most rushing yards by a team in its first 6 games of a season since 1980. Only the 2006 Falcons had 1,333. The 1984 Chicago Bears had 1,330, and then the 1980 Detroit Lions had 1,299. Those are the only 3 teams that had more within those 6 games than Baltimore does right now.
When you see Derrick Henry mentioned with as far as the things that he's been able to do, like, you know, now he has 101 rushing touchdowns. And he's mentioned alongside names of Emmitt Smith and Jim Brown and LaDainian Tomlinson.
As he should.
Absolutely he should. And they why didn't the Jags draft him and or sign him?
Well, actually, in his defense, or either in the Jags' defense, they took Miles Jack in the second round. But they took He Who Must Not Be Named in the first round of that draft. So, hey, listen, goes down as one of the better drafts in Jags history, even if for the long term it wasn't exactly the best play.
Yeah. Well, Miles Jack was not down. But
I also think that, again, in this age of running backs, like, it should be noted that he is an enigma. He is one of one.
Yes.
Most running backs break down. Most running backs need to have a lightning to their thunder, a thunder to their lightning in order to sustain tread on the tires.
Yeah. Especially the type of back that Derrick Henry is. Like, he is that I'll run you over. Stiff arm you out of my way type of running back. He's not one of these more finesse dance around and get the yards. He's going to be that bowling ball that rolls over guys.
He didn't start his first year's rookie season with the Titans. They had other running backs play ahead of him, and so I do think that helps a little bit on the back end of his career, but still, that was like a season or 2.
Yeah, a couple. So a few of the numbers from Baltimore. Baltimore has rushed for at least 100 yards in 39 consecutive games, surpassing the 1935-39 Detroit Lions that had 38 consecutive games for the 3rd longest such streak by a team in NFL history. Only the 2018-2021 Baltimore Ravens, 43 consecutive games, and the 1974-77 Pittsburgh Steelers have longer streaks. Lamar Jackson has 5,661 career rushing yards and surpassed Cam Newton he had 5,628 for the 2nd most rushing yards by a quarterback in NFL history. Only Michael Vick with 6,109 rushing yards has more.
So Lamar Jackson will eclipse.
Yep. It looks like. He's less than 400, about 400 yards away.
Yeah. And the way that obviously the Ravens were smart in the offseason is they said, okay, we a lot of times have running backs that get hurt. Derrick Henry is a guy who's pretty much always available. I think he had like 1 foot injury one season. That's about it. But we force the defenses to have to keep a spy on Lamar. Oh. So now let's get a power back, and therefore they have to account for both of those. Yep. And now we're seeing what happens. That's why, again, the 0-2 start for the Ravens, everyone was starting to freak out a little bit about, but they've been able, obviously, to rattle off 4 straight. Lamar Jackson is also a guy that has other weapons too. Like Zay Flowers, I love watching that cat play. He's so quick. And so, again, I give credit to the Commanders for being able to fight and battle against one of the better teams in the NFL.
You want to know another team with good culture too? The Tampa Bay Bucs.
Yeah. And the Pittsburgh Steelers. You mentioned them earlier too. Yeah. Talk about culture with Justin Fields now.
Yes. And that's why even there was some video that went kind of viral last week after the Steelers game, and they asked the identity of the team, and Justin Fields was kind of like, I don't know I've never heard anybody say the identity of a team, which was a weird comment to make, but you can tell, I'm sure Mike Tomlin pulled him in the office, was like, don't ever say that again.
Right, like we have an identity. Yeah. We know Leon talks about it all the time, that, tough no, I don't know if they've ever actually articulated it in Pittsburgh. I'm sure they have. It's probably up on a wall somewhere. In Baltimore, Leon said when he showed up there, you walk in and it says play like a Raven. And that is clearly defined, and that was pre-John Harbaugh, of what exactly it meant. Since you brought up the Tampa Bay Bucs, would you like for me to read the tweet?
Go for it.
51 points did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers score against the New Orleans Saints. 44 of them on offense. 6 touchdowns, despite Baker Mayfield's 3 interceptions. That was against a team that hadn't given up more than 26 points in their previous 5 games. The offensive coordinator was previously the offensive coordinator of a team that now has just 1 win. Part of that is injuries, but certainly of note. He also comes from the McVay tree. I just present that to you just in case you need it down the line.
Also, the Saints' glory fell off pretty quick.
Yeah,
Did
bye-bye,
anybody see
Clint
that
Kubiak.
potentially coming? Well, it also was
it was a
Spencer
fun
Rattler
2
getting his
games.
first
Right.
NFL
Shout out to
start.
Clint Kubiak. I mean, it's his first time being an OC, and certainly at the very least, that was you talk about the Jags offense being pulling teeth the last year and a half. That offense, having watched it firsthand at the Superdome last year, that offense with Derek Carr last year was pulling teeth. And the fact that they actually moved to more of a wide zone and they've created opportunities for Alvin Kamara, who obviously had a lackluster 2023. I'll give Clint Kubiak credit for that. I also think if they had a different quarterback, if Chris Olave was able to stay healthy, maybe we're talking about a different scenario. But for Spencer Rattler to be trotted out there, 22 of 40 for 243, a touchdown, 2 picks. There's a reason we call him the Rattler. He is the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde, not just his last name, folks.
For sure.
He rattles you to the bone. It's one, it's the other. You have a roller coaster of emotions in one singular game. I give him credit. That's a pretty impressive stat line against a pretty darn good defense.
He's just
has
kind
an
of
arm.
wild.
I'm curious to see which direction New Orleans goes. But yes, Liam Cohen is the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So just file that one away in case we need it down the line.
All right, Taylor, we've got lunch for 2 to give away.
We do. Lunch on the ladies. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 3.
That'll make people happy.
Yeah,
641-1010. That's right. We've got 1 segment to go here on Helmets and Heels. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. You can find them online at BigChiefTire.com. Super easy. If you need an oil change, if you need new tires, they are a locally owned company. They've been around for a long time. Visit them, BigChiefTire.com. 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Hey Googans, Dr. Chris Kopp PT here with Premier Physical Therapy of Jacksonville. Is pain interfering with your life? Looking for a specialist for the rehab of your young athlete? Whether recovering from injury, surgery, or improving overall function, Premier PT Jax provides personalized treatment with compassionate care. My team of experts are ready to serve you at 3 locations, Plana Vedra, San Pablo, and US 1 Phillips Highway. Visit PremierPTJax.com or call 904-996-6922. PremierPTJax.com, where your journey to wellness begins.
Picture this. You know those little number counter thingies, the one with the rolling numbers that just keep going up and up and up and up? That's what the selection is like at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Mia here, not 100, not 200, not even 3, 4, or 500. Over 600 vehicles in one location. Let's break it down, shall we? Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That, my friends, is over 600 cars on the lot at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. And if you're looking for buying confidence, check this out. At Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, you get 60 days to love it or exchange it. Need a little credit help? Arlington has your back with the Credit for Everyone program to help you get financed. Why Arlington? The better question is, why not? Don't wait. Shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Now, the Performance Painting High Performance Play of the Game. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
With the Jaguars on the ropes late in the contest, they looked to their stars to shine bright and get them back in the game. And they delivered when it mattered most. Trevor Lawrence would find Gabe Davis for a 21-yard touchdown in the third quarter that would make the score 21-10 with 6:02 left in the period. The Gabe Davis score is your Performance Painting Play of the Game.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Grab your lucky spot on the couch, because traditions make Sunday easy to enjoy. Bud Light, easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch. Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Hey, Hicken here with a message from Zero Res. Can you believe they've been cleaning carpets in Jacksonville now for 20 years? Dave Benyon, his family, and staff are so grateful of things and appreciate you, their great customers. In fact, October's birthday month for Zero Res. So what are we doing for customers? Just say happy birthday, Zero Res, and we'll give you $50 off. That's $50 off carpet, tile, and grout, upholstery, or area rugs. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. It's a scary time of year.
Especially for North Florida jewelry stores. It's a buy one, get one free on wedding bands. Happening now through Halloween.
At the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Start your week by talking teal with Tony. Hall of Fame Monday with Tony Baselli. Monday mornings at 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the drill. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida. Hall of Fame Quality Roofing Solutions on 1010XL.
Mia here, hoping everyone had a profitable betting weekend on MyBookie. If you did, Monday Night Football tonight to rack it up. If you didn't, you have Monday Night Football tonight to get right. The Buffalo Bills travel south to take on I don't even know how to describe the New York Jets. They just fired their head coach. We've seen this before, though, where teams rally after a big shakeup. The Jets are 2.5-point dogs at home with a 41-point over-under at MyBookie. This game often plays closer than we think, so take a long, hard look at the Jets Jets. MyBookie has the best sign-up bonus in the industry for Florida bettors. Our listeners can sign up and use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Sign up, promo code 1010XL, and claim that double deposit bonus tonight for Monday Night Football. Bet anywhere, anytime, and make your season a winning season with MyBookie.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram made his triumphant return on Sunday in London, catching 10 passes for 102 yards in a losing effort against the Bears. Ingram was asked in the postgame about what's going on with the 1-5 Jaguars.
I mean, it's football. There's going to be times where we get stopped. There's going to be closer games. Things aren't going to be perfect all the time. Things aren't going to be fireworks and everything good. I just think when things do go bad, we're just not playing well when adversity hits.
Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram in the postgame. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
We appreciate all of you who chimed in today as we once again try to resolve the Jacksonville Jaguars, fix the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we also touched on a little bit of college football. 641-1010, save the number if you ever want to get in on the action. The text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, open 24/7 here on 1010 XL, as well as the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. And cooling down, in summation, final thoughts before we get ready to turn the page later in the week. Culture. This is Professor O'Brien talking to you. Culture, Doug, I do not believe can be created in a week unless you are seeing returns, which you could make the argument you felt like you were seeing returns last week in the win over Indy, that this locker room was together, that there is something that unifies them, and they just didn't tap into it this week. Culture cannot be manifested in 6 days' time. It doesn't work like that in any professional workplace. And so that is where my biggest questions with the Jaguars lie. I do not expect, personally, any changes over the next 5-6 days before the Jaguars play the Patriots in their final game in London. I am curious, especially after hearing it from Tommy McManus, of course, former Jaguars linebacker, that at this juncture, you do need to see some sort of change, though. Is that playing younger players who you feel like are putting forth the effort and you're at least seeing some sort of flash from them? Is it taking back the play calling? I would like to see something changed this week. I do not believe it will be anyone's job, but I do think at the very least the actual operation, something tangible needs to change.
Yeah, I think that when we've heard Doug say over and over again, and a few weeks ago in the press conference, I think he said it like 12 times at some point, but the coaches coach and players play. And part of being a coach is not just obviously the in-game the physical part of being in-game, but to your point, Mia, is that culture side of it and having these guys be on the same page when something goes wrong. An NFL team should not completely fall apart the way that we've seen the Jags fall apart when one bad thing happens. And to me, that does start at the top, and that is a culture thing. That's a coaching thing. And yes, are there moments in the game we can go through and we could talk about play calling and we can talk about maybe some decisions we didn't like, but at the end of the day, this goes beyond what is the product on the football field right now, and that to me is what's most concerning.
Yeah, I think fans get frustrated when two different things happen. One, when they feel like on their couch they could make better in-game coaching decisions
and plays.
Yeah,
Catch the ball.
like feel like for Florida, for instance, Saturday night you have a giant quarterback and DJ Lagway. You need to convert 4th and short. Give the ball on a QB sneak to DJ Lagway, something we've screamed obviously here in Jacksonville.
Wasn't game ready, Lauren.
Yeah, and instead you do a jet sweep. Like, fans get so frustrated thinking and believing that they could make better play calls in those moments. Fans also get so incredibly frustrated when they feel like they care more than the players.
Yeah.
They have been
And the
fans,
coaches.
and the coaches. They feel like they've been a part of the team for so much longer than the players. They understand that. But these guys make millions of dollars to go out there and jog around at times or to whiff completely at times. Yeah. So a lot of frustration yesterday, and I understand that when a team loses like the Jaguars 35-16 to the Bears, and it honestly didn't even feel that close. I thought it was going to end up being like 42-10 and be even more embarrassing than it already was. But when you're the only team on national TV at that point in time, everyone gets to see all of your flaws. And I just didn't get the sense enough this morning, to me, from Doug Peterson when he met with everyone via Zoom over in London, that he was as fired up as the fans are. And so I do wonder if there's going to be changes. I agree. I don't think it's necessarily going to be before the game against the Patriots. But if the Jaguars lose to the Patriots and no one gets fired, though, that's when I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I think I made the comment a couple weeks ago about how when we're talking about Peterson and the beginning of everything and how good it looked, obviously, towards the end of 2022 and the beginning of last year, how I felt Doug almost took this job thinking it was going to be easy because
like
you
Urban
have
Meyer
Trevor
before
Lawrence.
him?
Yeah, like they said, hey, you have Trevor Lawrence. And oh, by the way, we have a good amount of money to spend. And here's how many draft picks we have. So we'll we'll get it all together. You just go out there and let Trevor do his thing. And it hasn't been that. And so you haven't been able to see, you haven't seen from Doug him coach players into developing into being better players. And that to me is a major red flag because you have a lot of talent. You have all of these guys that you've seen flashes from the last couple years. And to see guys take steps back with a coach that you felt was supposed to be that guy to take you to the next level, it's sad. It's honestly sad to watch. And that's what, like, I know people got upset with me because of my GIF, and I'm sorry I hurt feelings, but, like, let's be...
Because your GIF was bear down.
Yeah, and it's like, I grew up a Bears fan. I love the Jags. I didn't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see that product and those players look that way on a Sunday. Like, that's not fun for me. It's just not. And when it comes to... when you're trying to find the sole problem of where everything is, it's hard to just point to one thing other than saying, okay, at some point, Doug Peterson, you've got to do something.
It started last year with, okay, the defense had this big collapse. And oh, by the way, the offensive line was terrible and the quarterback was hurt and there were lots of other injuries too. We had areas where I felt like last season we could identify the problem. Right now, if you ask me the problem, certainly the passing defense is atrocious. But then there's so many other things that I don't think that they can fix all of this and have anywhere close to a 500 season this year.
And that's where I apologize to those in the MyBookie Digital studio and nationally.
Everyone's apologizing today.
Who want to blame Trevor Lawrence. Yes, he hasn't been perfect. He is far from the biggest issue right now. Like, I don't know how we're still here. Between that and the ongoing discourse of who's RB1, who's RB2. I don't know. I just watched the Detroit Lions employ both David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in perfect harmony. It can exist. Those are the two things that I just feel like I'm on a friggin' hamster wheel.
Yeah. Well, the Trevor Lawrence stuff, I believe that's people who aren't watching the game. Mm-hmm. I believe they just look at a box score, a stat line, and I know you can't watch every single game, every single snap of every single game, college or pro. I get that. But if you're going to say Trevor Lawrence sucks, then you need to watch snap in and snap out and see what this football team, what this offense looks like. He had 2 bad throws yesterday. Patrick Mahomes has thrown an interception in the last 5 games consecutively. Yeah. It happens. I don't think, so I'm with you, Mia. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the problem. It's the dropped passes. It's ball security from other players. How many fumbles does Trevor have this year? Wasn't that the issue last year? How many fumbles does he have this year? 0.
Yep, clean that up.
And I think that there's been moments, obviously, the Texans game, it was Trevor. But when you ask Trevor to clean up certain things and make better decisions, he has now. And so you can't use that as the excuse anymore. And to your point, when you're saying the box score, it's easy to look at the box score and be like, oh, he sucked. No, he didn't. Like you said, there was a couple 2 bad plays. Right. But I did a podcast after with Lance Briggs, and Lance Briggs praised Trevor Lawrence, the whole podcast. He was like, honestly, that guy, like, I don't know how
he was locked in.
Yeah. And he was like, I don't know. He was doing everything he could, and the receivers weren't catching passes. Towards the end, the pressure started just becoming overwhelming, and he was still trying to make plays. And one of the things we talked about so much was, okay, they have that explosiveness. Like, he can take that shot down the field and hit BTJ. A lot of the concerns were those midfields, intermediate passes, and he was doing that early in the game. I was like, okay, this is the Trevor we've been waiting to see. Those little kind of dink and dunk,
10
which
to
sometimes,
20
yes,
the seam,
but you want your quarterback to be able to do that, and he was. And Lance Briggs went on a whole spiel about it. This is not Trevor Lawrence's fault. They have some surrounding issues, and they've got to figure that out. But there's no way that anybody should be giving up on Trevor at this point.
Before we get ready to say hello to XL Primetime, I do want to repeat the stats from friend of Duval, Nate Tice of Yahoo Sports. The Jaguars lead the NFL in drops with 74 since Doug Peterson arrived in 2022. They also lead the NFL in EPA lost at minus 81.4. For perspective, again, the Jaguars have 74 drops since the beginning of 2022. The league average is 54 drops, and the average EPA lost is minus 52.5.
I understand there are times that, like, for instance, the touchdown pass that Brenton Strange caught against the Colts, that ball was hard to catch. Like, I understand the argument for sometimes Trevor is throwing lasers, and if it's a shorter pass, it's harder to catch. Yeah. Those passes yesterday, there was not one that falls into the category of, ooh, Trevor put a little too much on it. He needed to throw a more catchable ball. Not all of those were catchable balls to the point that they had them caught and they dropped them. I think for me, we started the show saying what was the worst part of the loss yesterday to the Bears. For me, it's the fact that the season's over. Last week, we still had optimism about, okay, just sweep the...
Get to 3 and 4.
Right, sweep the London
Everything's
games.
in front of you.
The Bears are a good team, not great, so certainly...
They're learning.
Right. You can... Hopefully, your defense can completely confuse a rookie quarterback. That did not happen. And, just get
the rookie
to...
quarterback confused the defense
Right.
a couple
Just
times.
get to 3 and 4, and let's have a different conversation about the rest of the season. And obviously, that is not at all the case. If there's any optimism that you hear on the station today, it's only going to be because, you're not the Cowboys, you're not the Titans. Let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers. Discover BioTarget Regenerative Therapy, a safer drug-free solution for lasting pain relief. Visit GoBioTarget.com.
Joe, there's no wrong answer to this question, but which loss hurt more? Florida losing to Tennessee in the way that happened, or the Jags losing to the Bears yesterday in the way that happened?
My immediate answer is there's good that comes with bad when it comes to Florida. There's nothing good that comes with bad when it comes to the Jags. So you may get something to gain, Lane Kiffin, as far as Florida is concerned, but there's nothing to gain from what's going on here, other than I was looking at Taylor when we walked in. She's the happy one. She's got that Bears dub. But it sucks all the way around. There is not a single pod you can go to and go, well, that's good. None of it's good. The actual roster, the actual coaching, the actual play, the actual results. I mean, it is just sucky.
So with that said, couldn't you make the argument, since you said in Gainesville there's hope and optimism because Billy
That's only
Napier's
because we're trying to hire somebody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but couldn't you argue if Trevor Lawrence is truly the North Star in this town, and if there are feelings that he may be regressing or he's not maximizing his potential because of the system around him, shouldn't there be hope that if this continues down this path, you can have an opportunity to bring in someone who would create a better ecosystem?
Yeah, it appears right now that you can go down the road. Is Doug losing the team? Did he have the team a week ago? Does he not have the team this week? I don't know. I just know that it's bad and it looks bad. So yeah, you can go get another guy. I'm going to be stumping for I need a Johnson in Jacksonville. I will take Ben Johnson from Detroit in a heartbeat. You'll probably be okay with that because that'll weaken.
Let's get him.
That Detroit team. But the innovation, the type of offense that you see from a lot of these other teams, that is missing from this football team. There's no doubt about that. I laughed when Matt Hayes brought up a play last week, pulled it up on YouTube, the Gardner Minshew play, fake screen, and then went right down the middle. He talked about it like 2 or 3 days, and then boom,
there it
was from the other team with a wide open Cole Kmet.
John DeFilippo still somehow influencing the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars outcome, even though he's long gone
even
from
looked
both.
him up. He's nowhere to be found. His last job, I want to say, might have been in the.
He was in the
USFL.
USFL, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, there's you can just honestly go down the line. Roster construction, game planning, actual coaching, and then the players themselves. Cisco calls them out. We'll get into that a little bit today, whether that's true or not.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Joe.
All right, thank y'all.
We'll be listening. That's going to do it for us today. For Taylor Dahl, for Mia O'Brien, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking, and we will be angry and frustrated yet again tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. XL Primetime comes up next.
Over you.